Expectations for you, Aaron Rodgers, in this ballgame are what?
I'm expecting him to do well. I think it's very similar to what we saw in 2013 when he came back. Now, granted, it's collarbone, throwing shoulder. I don't think Aaron Rodgers comes back unless he's ready to roll. And when he came back in that must-win game 16, week 17 back in 2013 against the Bears, he put up 319 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. It wasn't vintage Aaron Rodgers, but it was good enough to beat the Bears and get into the playoffs that year. Well, here we are in a must-win situation again, and I think Aaron Rodgers would not be out there if he wasn't ready to fling it around and if he was going to be limited. So I'm expecting a good Aaron Rodgers, and I think he can take advantage of this Carolina secondary. So I think we're going to see Aaron Rodgers, maybe at 85% of what he usually is, which might be enough.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a little bit of rust he's going to have to knock off in the first half of this game. I think you'll see him get loose, and you'll start to see him let it fly a little bit. I would imagine some quick hitters going to try and protect him from himself, because one of the things he does so well is extend plays and create things down the field. I think you'd see them try and get the ball out of his hand a little bit early. I think it's just going to be a little bit of an adjustment period. I don't doubt he's the best quarterback in the National Football League, but I just don't think you miss this much time, jump right in there and start cranking. And I know he's done it in the past. I just think against a pretty good Carolina defense, that's a big ask.
It is a big ask. However, my question to you would be, does Carolina have, do they have enough to overwhelm the Green Bay Packers? And I'm not sure how Carolina is really doing it, to be honest with you. They have no 1,000-yard rusher this year. That's not going to happen. They're not going to have a 1,000-yard receiver this year. It's not like they're a dominant defense when you look at it statistically. I know Cam is running for more yards per carry than he ever has, and that's been one of the things that's really helped them out and helped out that running game. But, I think Aaron Rodgers just has to be okay. A guy you were high on, Jamal Williams, starting to put together a nice season for the Green Bay Packers. And I remember you were somebody who was kind of high on him during the draft process. They're getting him involved in the passing game as well. So I don't want to – you've got all your firepower at Green Bay there. You now have a running back who's catching some passes out of the backfield. I think Aaron Rodgers has been through enough in the past to know how he can manage a game and avoid some of the pitfalls that Carolina will throw at you defensively. So, yes, he's going to have to fight through some rust, but I don't think it's going to be that debilitating. I definitely give him a chance of having a game here, and they've got to win. Let's face it, this is must-win for the Packers.
Yeah, they've got to win. We flip it over to the Panthers. To me, the reason that this is going to be a tough matchup for the Packers, forget about their defense going up against Aaron Rodgers. I look at how gross this Packers defense has been, and I look at how bad they looked last week against the Cleveland Browns, who raced out to 21 points. And I think Cam Newton, watching the way he's run, you touched on it a little bit, becoming more involved. When he wants to be Superman and take off, what he did to Sendejo in the hole the other day when he got that 50-plus yard run, quarterbacks that big and that strong are not supposed to make safeties miss at full speed like he does. When he decides he wants to do those Cam Newton-type things, nobody's going to stop him. And I don't think this Green Bay Packers defense is going to be able to stop him either. And you talk about the not having a 1,000-yard rusher. They spread it around a little bit with Cam. You see Christian McCaffrey get sprinkled in there. I think Jonathan Stewart's gotten a nice little rhythm the last couple weeks and got rolling. And then last week, the Cleveland Browns, Josh Gordon, big physical wide receiver, had some success against the Packers this week. Devin Funchess having a phenomenal season. They felt so confident in him, they shipped Kelvin Benjamin off. He's emerged to me as a true number one wide receiver for this ball club.
Yeah, I think he's definitely, if he's not there, he's headed in that direction. Yeah, I do want to say Jonathan Stewart also had like a 65-yard run, which helped pad the total a little bit. It's not like he was just grinding away.
Don't be that guy. Hey, other than the 300-yard returns, he didn't do anything in that game. You take those 3 plays out.
It's not like he's loaded up with 100-yard games this year.
If you take away the 5 touchdown passes in that game, he did not do anything. Don't be that guy, Lance Zierlein.
No, he did something. He had 2 touchdowns right there in the first quarter. He helped them jump out. I'm just saying, do you think this is sustainable for the Carolina Panthers? Low-key, one of the most surprising things in Panthers football this year has been that Cam Newton has started to run again and run successfully. You mentioned that what he did to Sendejo in the hole. I thought Cam Newton's days of running were doing this. It looked like it statistically. He was doing what all older quarterbacks, when you get older and you put away those running cleats and you sit in a pocket. This has been very surprising. He's going to end up with over 600 yards rushing this year. He's at 5.9 yards a carry, which is the highest it's ever been, eclipsing his rookie mark of 5.8 yards a carry. And I think one of the reasons for that is because Cam said, look, I'm not the passer I was a couple of years ago. I've got to find other ways to win. He's a competitor, and he's doing one of the things that he's been able to rely on since his days at Auburn. And it's been a huge part of Carolina's success in getting to 9 wins where they are right now, because I don't think they played like a 9-win team. They don't feel like a 9-4 team to me.
Yeah, they just get it done somehow. All right, we got to pick this thing quick here. Who do you like?
I like Green Bay.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers' return.
Yeah, that's not happening. I'm going to go Carolina on that one. The fact you're wearing that Tennessee jacket makes me feel good about my pick. By the way, that's a good game, but that is not the biggest game of the week. That, without question, is the Patriots and the Steelers.
Down to the goal line, touchdown, Pittsburgh.
To Gronkowski, touchdown, Patriots.
Fake, he's going to throw it, and it's a touchdown.
Look out. Well, Dalton is buried. And New England increases its lead.
Quick stop, and we put that ball in Steph's hands right here. Y'all know what's up.
Down the near sideline. That is Antonio Brown again over the shoulder. Heinz Field is in a frenzy.
Doesn't get much better than this when you're talking about the Patriots and the Steelers and what I think is going to be a preview of the AFC Championship game. Lance, we start with this ball game. I think we got to start with Tom Brady and ask, do we think he can come back from what was a really disappointing game against the Miami Dolphins?
Well, I think he can bounce back, but one of the real keys here, you look at what the Dolphins did, which is crowd his receivers with some big corners, and the Steelers can do some similar things as well. And you know, Miami does not rush the passer like the Pittsburgh Steelers can rush the passer. So this is going to be a challenge for Tom Brady because he is going to have people in his face all game long. And, you know, finding his number one big target, that's going to be the real key here. He couldn't do it last week, obviously.
Yeah, no Gronk last week. He does come back this week. And we try and think about what the difference is and what Gronk can mean to this offense that struggled last week. Really man beaters. They needed some man beaters. Julian Edelman was their number one man beater. He's out for the season. But then it's Gronk and what he can do. Not having him last week, I thought they got kind of suffocated. When you look at the tape of what we're able to see when you break down Gronk, a couple things jump out to me. Is, look, the way you can employ him, you want to put him out wide at wide receiver. You see him right here lined up, and you bring out a safety, Micah Hyde. This is where Gronk has that size matchup advantage. Little slant, he's got Hyde on his back. There's no separation, but he's just too big and too strong for a safety to handle out there on the perimeter. So now you flex him out in the slot. You're going to get him lined up on a linebacker here in Preston Brown. Got a too-high safety look. He's going to run right by the linebacker, split the safeties, ended up getting a nice chunk play down the middle of the field. So he's that classic dilemma. You're going to put a safety on him. His size is too much. You're going to run a linebacker over the top. He's going to run right by him. Tom Brady will have some man beaters at his disposal with the 87 out in the field this week.
Well, there's no question. I mean, Gronkowski is he's a problem for any team that's faced him. He has been. Tom Brady's stats show that when Gronk is on the field, Tom Brady is a different quarterback. I think one of the things to me that is going to make it a challenge for Tom Brady and that offense is that, you know, the New England Patriots are not that stout from guard to guard. And we saw the Texans in the playoffs last year exploit that, and then teams in the playoffs started to try to exploit that. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, even with Shazier out, I think they can exploit that. I think they can get push along the interior the same way Miami did. And I think it's going to be a challenge for Tom Brady. Now, at the end of the day, I do expect Tom Brady to put numbers up because Gronk is there. It's rare that he doesn't when 87's in the lineup.
I look at this Steelers team. I don't think they're going to be able to mimic what the Dolphins did, and I think you mentioned it, Shazier not being out there. This team with the Patriots, running backs in the passing route, out in the flat, you're going to look at tight ends, obviously with Gronk involved. They're going to stress the middle of this defense, this linebacking core for the Steelers. I don't see them being able to match up down in, down out with the tight ends and the running backs in this game. I don't think Tom Brady's going to have to hold the ball. We'll let Brandon Cooks get vertical down the field. This is going to be death by a million paper cuts underneath with tight ends and backs.
And that's how they got back into it last week. I mean, when Tom started checking down a little bit more, they had that success. But I don't know, DJ. This is really, I think we've got more dudes on defense here for the Steelers in their front seven than Miami does. So I'm not sure how that changes the issues the Patriots have up front.
All right, let's get into what type of game you think this is going to be. Instead of just predicting the score here, you see this a low-scoring game, a high-scoring game? Is it a blowout one side or the other? What kind of game do you think we're going to see?
Well, I mean, you look at the New England Patriots secondary, I can't say that I think it's going to be low scoring. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to have success. I think Tom Brady keeps pace. I think it's going to be a shootout, and I don't really care what the weather's going to be. We'll make shootout maybe a relative term, but I do think it's going to be a higher scoring game, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is going to be a shootout. I know, look, there's a call for maybe some rain in this one, but I think this is kind of a classic 35-31 type game. Maybe when they meet again in the postseason, we see that score come down a little bit, but I'm with you, Lance. I think this is going to be a big-time shootout. Who do you like winning the game?
I like the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it's going to rain touchdowns. Dad
Oh,
joke.
hey,
You appreciate that.
nice.
You appreciate the dad joke.
Nicely done. I'm going to go with the Patriots on this one. Tom Brady losing 2 games in a row. I don't care if they're on the road. I think they find a way to win in this shootout. It's going to be a fun one to watch, so definitely the game of the week. Although there are some other good ones we can get to here. Chargers-Chiefs, this is Saturday, 8:30 Eastern on NFL Network. This is going to be a big one. I think this game goes a long way in deciding who wins this division. Knot it up right now.
It's a huge game, and that division, boy, it has not played out like we thought it did. Obviously, it was going to with what's happened with the Raiders. The Chiefs looked like they were going to run away from everyone. That hasn't happened. The Chargers have shown up all of a sudden. This is very quietly turning into one of the more anticipated games of the week. And I didn't think I'd say that a couple of weeks ago, but that's what the Chargers have done to this game.
Yeah, this is must-see TV. Player to watch for me in this one for the Chargers, I'm going to go Hunter Henry. Saw him get involved a little bit last week. Keenan Allen has been money. Him and Phillip Rivers have a connection, no doubt. But that's going to draw attention on the outside. No Eric Berry there for the entire season, really, for the Chiefs. I think there's some opportunities for Hunter Henry, especially to stretch the field, get down the seam. I think he's got a chance to have a big game in this one.
Yeah, he had a big one last week, but so did Chris Jones. And to me, that's the player that I think I would be my guy to watch there. I think Chris Jones, who had another big game, he had 3 sacks last week. And Chris Jones has the ability to just physically overwhelm people. And when you look at the Chargers' offensive line, to me, that is where you can exploit them. And I think Chris Jones being in the quarterback's face for much of the day. Phillip Rivers not really a mobile quarterback and doesn't like people, up in his face. I think he's the real key to this one. Get in there, pressure that offensive line, make Phillip Rivers uncomfortable, and go set the tone early on. I think he's the key in this one.
All right, so who do you like in this game?
KC. I'm sure we're on the same side again here, right?
Golly, we don't agree on
we're both
anything.
Chiefs.
Yeah,
Both
no,
Chiefs?
I'm going Chargers. Chargers have a better D-line. They've got a better quarterback. When it starts getting into crunch time, those are the 2 factors I'm looking at. I like Chris Jones, but I'll take the boys in. I guess they won't be in baby blue because they'll be on the road, but I do like the Chargers in that one. It's going to be a fun game. Another divisional game to keep an eye on this week. Rams at Seahawks. This is a 4:05 Eastern game on Fox. Player to watch for me in this one, Lance, I'm going to go Cooper Kupp. I mean, this guy, we talked about him so much in the run-up to the draft last year. He was on path to the draft every week. We got to know him really well. And to me, doing their preseason games, seeing how Jared Goff had trust in him from day one, we've just seen that continue to grow. In key spots and key situations when they've got to have it, Cooper Kupp has been that guy.
How about Cooper Kupp? It's a no-doubter since about week 2. You saw him and you said, yep, he's going to hit. He's going to be a draft hit. He's one of those guys you knew right away when the season started. It's not too big for him moving up from Eastern Washington. That's a good one, DJ. I think for me, though, my player to watch here is going to be Russell Wilson. And it seems obvious, but why I'm saying Russell Wilson is because, boy, Wade Phillips can find so many ways to get after you defensively. And you look at who they have up front and how they're overmatching the Seattle Seahawks offensive line. Russell Wilson is going to have to create passing opportunities for himself with those legs. And to me, if Russell Wilson is not, on point, that is going to be a hard game for them to win. I mean, he has to be upper echelon. So to me, he has got to be my player to watch, even though it's the obvious choice.
I'm not a fan of those highlighter green uniforms when we see some of these highlights here, by the way. Just not a fan.
I love them. I love those highlighter colors.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're definitely rocking the orange highlighter today. Who do you like in this game? Who wins it?
I'm going to go Seattle. I think this is a game where Seattle steps up and rises to the occasion. It's a must-win situation for them as well. I mean, they're getting into that territory with so many over there in the NFC. I think Seattle's going to be the team to beat in this one.
Yeah, it's interesting because you told everybody before you thought it was going to be the Rams. So the guys have the Rams. This is the thing. I have Seattle. And you guys, you feel so bad because you don't agree with any of my picks. You come on my podcast, you don't agree with anything that I say, and then some of that guilt started seeping through that ugly orange jacket, and it got into your soul, and now you're with me. Now you're picking Seattle.
I was thinking about this. I kind of like the Rams in this one the more I think about it.
Gross. All right, so
You're
that's
Seattle,
fine.
right?
I went
I'll go the
Seattle.
other side of you.
I like the Rams. This is going to be a good competitive game, but you're just flopping around like a fish on the deck right now. I mean, it's not helping me at all.
What do you want from me? It's Seattle. You never know what you're going to get from week to week.
Oh, the fish market featuring Lance Zierlein.